The C-suite isn't just about power, it's about isolation. Let's talk about the unspoken challenges of executive life. Most people look at the C-suite and see corner offices, million-dollar salaries, and prestige. But what they don't see are the late nights, the self-doubt, the loneliness that comes from being the final decision maker, and the pressure of knowing every move could ripple through hundreds of thousands of lives. Let's strip away the myth and talk about what leadership at the top really feels like and how the best leaders navigate it. When you first step into senior leadership, everyone tells you you've made it. The power, the title, the seat at the table. But here's the truth. The higher you climb, the fewer people tell you what you need to hear. In the C-suite, you are no longer rewarded for being right. You're rewarded for being responsible. That's a heavy distinction. Power doesn't free you, it binds you to accountability. So here's your takeaway. Power without humility breeds arrogance, but humility without power breeds insecurity. The best leaders master the balance. Let's talk about isolation, the silent epidemic of executive life. The moment you step into the C-suite, your circle changes. The people who once shared open conversations with you now choose their words carefully. Every joke, every idea, every expression gets filtered through the lens of your title, and it's isolating. Harvard Business Review found that over 60% of executives report feeling isolated, and that number climbs the higher they rise. Why? Because leadership requires constant emotional regulation. You can't vent down, and you rarely have peers to vent sideways. I once coached a senior VP, and he said to me, "I can't even celebrate wins anymore. Every time I do, someone tells me I'm showing off." I call that the isolation trap. The solution: you have to build intentional connection. Create what I call leadership inner circles. A small trusted group of peers, mentors, or coaches who can hold space for your truth. They don't need to work in your company, but they must understand your level of pressure. Remember, your title may isolate you, but your discipline in building real relationships will liberate you. Pressure in leadership is not a fault, it's a feature. The question isn't if it'll show up, it's how you respond when it does. I call this the pressure paradox. At lower levels of leadership, pressure tests your skills. At the executive level, it tests your identity. So when the heat rises, don't rush to cool it down. Study it, learn from it. Pressure exposes your blind spots, but it also refines your focus. Ask yourself, what's this challenge trying to teach me about my leadership capacity? Because pressure doesn't break leaders, it reveals them. Here's something few talk about. When you become an executive, your identity changes, and if you're not intentional, it can consume you. I've seen brilliant leaders lose themselves to the title. They start defining their worth by quarterly results, promotions, or public recognition. But leadership is not who you are, it's what you do. Fortune 100 executive I once worked with told me, "I climbed every rung of the ladder only to realize the view wasn't what I expected." Now, he wasn't unhappy with success, he was disconnected from purpose. That's why I teach leaders to create what I call an identity anchor, a grounding statement that reminds you who you are when the noise gets loud. It could be something like, "I lead to build people, not empires," or "I measure my success by my team's growth, not my ego's applause." Your title will change, your impact shouldn't. The higher you rise, the more distorted your message becomes. At the top, you might think you're communicating clearly, but what people hear often depends on their fear, not your words. Jack Welch once said, "When you're the CEO, you whisper and it's heard as a scream." Executives must master clarity with passion. That means checking for understanding, not just direction. In high-stakes environments, your tone can motivate or demoralize. One strategy: slow down your delivery. The faster your speech, the more your team feels commanded. The slower your delivery, the more your team feels considered. When you pause intentionally, it creates psychological safety. It gives your team permission to think, reflect, and respond, rather than react. Silence becomes a leadership tool. Use pace, tone, and cadence as levels of influence. Great communicators know their words matter, but their timing matters more. So by mastering tempo, you transform from being a boss, giving orders, to a leader, guiding understanding. Clarity in communication isn't about more meetings, it's about more meaning. We glorify burnout in the C-suite. Long hours, constant availability, the grind. But here's the truth. Burnout doesn't make you strong, it makes you sloppy. Leadership energy is a finite resource, and when it's gone, your decision quality suffers. As a leader, protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's strategic. Build routines that recharge you mentally, physically, and emotionally. Sleep, exercise, solitude, they're not luxuries, they're leadership tools. Because if you burn out, you're not leading anyone. You are just surviving. The C-suite isn't the summit, it's the starting point of your legacy. You've reached the top, now what? Legacy is not about what people remember you for, it's about what they continue doing because of you. So ask yourself, what systems am I building that will outlive me? The C-suite doesn't define your leadership, your legacy does. So let's recap. The C-suite isn't freedom, it's responsibility. It isn't popularity, it's purpose. It isn't about power, it's about people. If you're in leadership now or on your way there, don't fall for the myth. Don't chase the title, chase transformation. Because leadership isn't about being at the top, it's about staying grounded when you are there. And if you found value in this message, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this with another leader who needs to hear it today. And remember, your leadership journey doesn't end when you reach the top. It begins when you choose to lead differently. Let's lead forward.